Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating and honestly provocative thought experiment. It's from an anonymous Arabic text, and it's one that challenges you to think about conflict and resistance in a radically different way. So the text kicks things off with this single, powerful question, and this is the foundation for everything we're about to explore. The author isn't telling you what to think, they're asking you to join them in a hypothetical, to just imagine what could happen if we hit pause on one strategy to really, truly listen for another. Okay, let's dive right in. You see, the author's entire idea, it's all built on one single starting point about the way things are now. So to get this, we've got to understand that premise first. The author basically asks you to consider this one idea. What if the path of armed struggle has become, as they put it, a dead end? Now, this isn't presented as some undeniable fact, but it's the crucial first step for the whole thought experiment to even begin. So what does this dead end actually look like, according to the author? And what's really interesting here is that their critique isn't just about, not winning on the battlefield. No, it goes way deeper than that. The text uses some incredibly strong language here. The point they're making is that this path isn't just failing to reach its goals. It's actually causing a kind of deep internal collapse, a destruction of the soul, the body, and the structure. It's painted as a process that's just draining the life out of a people. So this pretty bleak starting point, it leads us right to the first big move in his whole hypothetical scenario, a really pivotal, you could even say game-changing declaration. And the author is super clear about this. This isn't giving up. The idea is that it's a move you make on your own. You don't wait for anyone else to agree. It's framed as a smart, strategic choice, one made from a position of pride, all to protect the one thing that really matters, life and the future. And this quote, man, it just drills down to the absolute heart of it. The message is supposed to be simple, totally clear, and out in the open. It's a public pivot, turning away from violence and towards something fundamental, the simple desire to live and to build. Okay, so this declaration, this is where things get really interesting. It's the foundation for the most creative part of this whole thought experiment, the idea of building a totally different kind of army. So how do you do it? Well, the first practical step is all about the money. We're talking a huge shift in resources. The author imagines taking the billions of dollars that once went into the arms trade and redirecting every last cent into a new investment, building an army of minds. Here's where the author lays out this one-to-one swap. It's really fascinating. On the left, you've got the old army, the traditional stuff. But look at the new army. Instead of armed fighters, you have programmers and inventors. Instead of guns and explosives, your weapons are laptops and ideas. Those combat tunnels, they become programming labs. And military training, that gets replaced with tech and engineering skills. And where does this new army fight? On a global battlefield that can't be fenced in. The internet becomes the new arena, a space that, like the author says, doesn't have borders or walls. It totally changes the game. And this leads to a pretty powerful question, right? The author suggests this kind of resistance is just incredibly tough to beat. I mean, how do you stop it? Think about it. You can't just go and confiscate an idea that's already in someone's head. You can't really stop someone who's determined to learn, even if they have to do it in secret, in the middle of the night. The weapon here is untouchable. So it makes sense, right? If your army is different, if your weapons are different, well, then what you consider a win has to be completely different too. The author makes a really sharp contrast here. On one side, you have the old kind of victory, one that's celebrated over the rubble of our people. It's purely destructive. But on the other side is what the text calls a clean, civilizational victory, one that builds things up instead of tearing them down. And this isn't just some vague idea. The author gets really specific about what this new kind of victory looks like. Every time a patent gets registered, that's a win. A small company that grows and hires hundreds of people, that's a huge win. A new app that millions of people start using, that's a victory. It's all about shifting from being seen as a problem to becoming a source of solutions for the entire world. And this quote from the text, honestly, it just perfectly sums up the entire philosophy here. It's this beautiful, poetic way of capturing the whole shift in values. It suggests that a quiet act of creation, just a drop of ink, the glow from a screen, has more real power than the loudest, most violent act of war. But, the author is also a realist, even inside this hypothetical world. They say this entire vision, this whole grand structure, it all hinges on one single, non-negotiable condition. And here it is. For any of this to even have a chance of working, the author argues that first declaration to renounce violence, it can't just be a tactic. It has to be 150% sincere, total, and completely clear. No buts, no reservations. It has to come from a genuine belief that this new way isn't just an alternative, it's better. And of course, the author knows what you're probably thinking. Yeah, right. The other side will never let this happen. Their response is pretty direct. They basically say, look, just like the ability to fight was built from scratch, the tunnels, the weapons, so too can this new ability for knowledge and innovation be built. And in the end, the text doesn't wrap everything up with a neat bow. It leaves us right back where we started. But now we see the question in a whole new light. After walking us through this incredibly detailed vision, it just asks again, what if? What could actually happen if this were to happen? And that's a question the author leaves for all of us to think about.